turned 34 this year. I ran a 1:34 half marathon on my 34th birthday, or 2 days after. And I'm not delusional to the fact that the years I have left to train the way that I train, compete in events, focus on my physical development, my athletic goals, they are finite. A lot of people, at least when I grew up in my 20s especially, would always say, oh, you have all of your life ahead of you, you have so much time left to go and do certain things. But the reality is you don't. And that isn't a way to fearmonger people or pressure them into taking action and start now. It's more so a realization that in life you go through different chapters. So I started training again when I was 27. It was before COVID happened, but when COVID happened was actually when I really went all in on my fitness, my personal development, my self-development, my training, my physique, and then later on my performance. I think it's a very common thing for people in their late 20s typically, maybe early 30s, to go through a massive change in their life. So when I was in my 20s, one of my huge priorities was traveling, seeing the world, partying, of course, my career and my academics. Career is still the case now, but back then university, academics, starting a career, building my career, and so on. And I've traveled solo and backpacked around the world, pretty much everywhere. For so long, that was a huge focus for me every year to go somewhere, to see the world, to travel around. Southeast Asia, Asia, Central America, South America, US. The only places I haven't been to is Africa and Australia. And I would do the classic backpacking lifestyle. But that to me right now just isn't a priority anymore. It isn't important anymore. Even if someone came to me right now and said to me, okay, Louisa, we're going to pay you 3 months of backpacking. You're going to be staying in hostels and in dorms and travel around with no clear plan. Just go with the flow. We're going to pay for everything. And on top of that, we're also going to be paying you to do it. I would still say no, because I don't want to do it. Like, it's just not part of the chapter that I'm in right now with life. That window for me to do these kind of things and live this kind of lifestyle right now is closed. And I don't believe that I will ever go back to that stage of my life. And the same goes with training. I remember actually in my 20s, I will never forget this message. I sent one of my very close friends back then, we used to party together a lot. I said to her, and this was after a night out, I said to her, I will never stop partying. Even when I'm 50, I'm still going to be going out the same way I do now. And at that time, I really believed that because I loved partying. It was such a big thing for me to go out on the weekend. But that has changed. It's changed. And even though I do miss this lifestyle sometimes, I know I will never go back to it again because I've grown out of that phase in my life. And I believe the same goes for training. What I do right now, I love it. I love my training. I love my business. I love coaching. I love helping clients do the things that I do. I love competing in events. I love hitting the gym. But I can't guarantee myself that in 10 years' time, that's still going to be the same. So I knew when I stepped into training at 27, I knew if I wanted to go down that path, I had to go all in, because if I waited for my mid-30s or late 30s or whatever, then it's likely not going to be happening. A lot of the people I work with, they are at that sort of turning point in their life, whether that's their late 20s, early 30s, sometimes mid-30s, where they do want to make use of their 30s to actually not waste their athletic potential. Because yes, you can say, yeah, but you can still go and train when you're 40. I highly doubt that it's easier to start training when you're fucking 40 than it is when you're 30. It is definitely not. We can say that age is just a number for as long as we want. There is a physiological reality to what it means when you're aging, especially as a female. So when I went back into training at 27, I did make almost like a calculated decision. I didn't just dip my toe into it and thought to myself, yeah, I'm gonna be trying this or that. I went all in with it because I knew this was my window now to prioritize that. I knew that if I didn't use the next 5 to 10 years to get myself physically in the best shape and tick off some of my bucket list goals, then I likely never will. Your 30s, especially as a woman, are your window to maximize your athletic potential and do the things that you've been potentially thinking about for months or years. But dipping your toe into training or telling yourself that you should be waiting until your 40s because you're going to be less busy or you might have more time back then, is 100% not going to get you there. And the other reality of this is, if you do want to do these things physically and with your training, it needs to be a priority. You can't be at a stage in your life where you do have different priorities and still try and prioritize things that are naturally maybe not as important to you anymore. Because I never wanted to look back at a phase in my life and regret not having done certain things. I also don't understand it when people go, oh, I wasted my 20s away partying. I didn't. I love partying. It's an important part of life to go through a phase where you're fucking partying and doing all that kind of stuff. Because if you don't do that in your 20s, then when are you going to be doing it? And it's the same with training. I believe if someone doesn't start the training journey and takes it seriously and goes all in on the training, either in their 20s or in their 30s, there is a low chance that they will be doing it later on in life. There are just certain windows in life that you need to be using, because otherwise the bus, or is it the train, the bus to jump on might have left.